What up? We are back. Can you guys hear me okay? Anybody in here? Um, Thanks for hanging out. Let's get after this. Florida State picks up a big win to get to 10-3. Let's change this lighting around a little bit. Do me a favor, if you're watching, if you're listening, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We're gonna have some people on, and there's some people in the back in the waiting room right now. We'll get you on in just a minute. Want to talk a little bit about FSU's win. Want to get you guys' reactions. I say this every time. I've never meant it more than I mean it right now. I truly want this to be you guys' show. Like I want this to be like old school Spaces. If you weren't on Spaces, like where you guys just call in the whole time. If you want to call in, if you want to come on the show, just shoot me a DM on social media, anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You shoot me an email, tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com. I'd like to get you guys on. If you don't want to be on camera, I can make it where it's just audio. You don't have to be on video. But yeah, hit us up. Let's get you on. Let's talk a little bit about FSU getting a big win against Oklahoma yesterday. A fun game. Let's keep your comments going. If you want to come on, if you want to talk some crap, make it kind of like a call-in show. Not just me ranting for an hour. If you guys want me to rant for an hour, I'm good. I'm good with that. But I had a good time. Had a great tailgate. Probably 150 people out there at the tailgate yesterday, so that was fun. Some of the softball girls showed up. That was cool. Lonnie Pryor showed up. That was cool. We ran out of alcohol, so I had to go to the store and buy like 200 more beers and 6 more handles of liquor. That was fun. But then that didn't all get drank, so I don't feel so bad. I came home with a lot of Natty Light, so my wife doesn't even know that yet. So we're gonna be drinking that for a while in this house. But good times, man. Florida State went in. I was never really nervous. Were you guys nervous at all? Like even down, I'm losing my voice. Sorry. So that probably doesn't sound the best for y'all. But even down, like I was just never really nervous. I think when we were down 14-3 and they were maybe driving, going to kick a field goal. If they would have scored a touchdown there and we'd have gotten 21-3, I think at that point I'd have gotten a little, because like then you're just playing like the odds, right? When it's 14-3, a touchdown and you're right back at it, and that's exactly what happened. But I think that at 21-3, I'd have been a little like, I don't know if I love this. Florida State found a way and ended up winning a big game. All right, let's get after it. See, I wasn't nervous. I was a little bit nervous that drive, Matt. I was just a little nervous that drive, but I thought like, if you hold them here, even if you just hold them to a field goal, if it goes 17-3, I still think the Noles end up winning that game. So good job fighting back. Florida State got down 2 scores to 2 different teams this year and didn't fight back from down 2 scores either time. When they got down 2 scores against Wake Forest, they couldn't do it. When they got down 2 scores against Clemson, they couldn't do it. And shout out to the Noles. They went up against a really good offense. Defense has to improve. We talk about that. We'll try and keep it pretty positive today. But, yeah, defense needs to get better. But they went up against a really good offense. And when they had to get stops, they found a way to get them. Certainly at the end of the game. Certainly when Oklahoma had their 2-score lead and you had to kind of get back in it. So, all right, shout out Gramco, thegramco.com, TJ25 at checkout. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. Garnet and Gold, you can use Noslaw, Noslaw at garnetandgold.com. Let me add my buddy Josh here to the stream. Josh, the people usually hear you. I don't know if they see you too often. There's a call-in show. So you guys want to jump in, hit my DMs, just join the show. Like, come on in here and talk. So Josh is first up. How's it going, man?
That's going good, man. For those of you who did see me at the Clemson game, I was a little bit drunk at the end, so I do apologize. That I actually take that back. I was very drunk at the end.
Everybody else was too, bro. It's all good.
That was a tough one. But, yeah, man, I got to be honest. I wasn't worried, but I think as everybody else, I was more shocked at the fact that the defense – I'm sorry, we weren't scoring in the first half. Like, I thought they were scoring against us. Obviously, we have some weaknesses in the central part of the defense in the tackle area. The corners kept getting injured. I mean, if everybody noticed – almost every corner cycled through the game. I think Jarian was out, the first quarter, didn't play again. Cooper went out. Obviously, we saw, Jamie Robinson go out, but I don't think anybody doubted he was going to go back in the game. But just how hard it was for us to really score in the first half was pretty interesting. To think about Trey Benson, got 25 yards in the game. That was pretty shocking. I mean, big ups to Ward getting a good game. And whatever he decides to do, I mean, you can't have holding against that kid. I mean, he stuck through everything, came in as a walk-on. I mean, that room is so stacked. If you want carries, no one's going to blame him if he decides to move on. But great game for him. But just the fact that Benson didn't ever get going, they never really got him going, was pretty surprising. Johnny Wilson, I mean, besides that, one we're all going to think about. Well, actually, we don't think about it because he made the great catch after that. But that ball across the middle that he was going to score easily on, that hit him right in the bread basket. I mean, that was a little tough. Maybe then I was getting a little worried, and I was starting to pour a little bit of the dark stuff in my glass and drink more at that point. But yeah, I mean, the one thing was, it's kind of like that thing where I was excited to get the 10th win, couldn't be happier for the guys in the team, but it's over. And so it was kind of a little bit of depressing after the game, just because this is we got a long wait until they're back again, and to finish on such a high, especially winning the last 6 games, and now we have this long wait for us to all talk about it, talk our shit, spit our lies, whatever we're gonna do. But it is a long wait, so it does kind of suck on that end.
Yeah, I agree. And Florida State's already done so much in the portal that it's like, I mean, there's definitely more coming, and there's going to be more to celebrate. But they've already we've gotten all our wins in now. It's like there's nothing to. I mean, there will be stuff to celebrate. I promise. That's no insider info just yet. But it just feels like it's all dang, it's really over. No, but it does. I mean, it is better. So now all these other bowl games. If Florida State would have lost, yeah. I probably wouldn't have cared about too many bowl games. I'd watch the playoff and stuff. And there'd be a couple, but now I'm all in on the dumb games, like Maryland, NC State, and Pittsburgh, UCLA,
yeah,
Notre Dame, South Carolina. That's a fun one. I'm all in on all
Clemson, Tennessee.
Stuff. That's a good one. I mean, it sucks that Hooker's out, right? But
well, here's the thing. I've always had this thing because I don't know where there's a Tennessee fan where I was growing up, and they were just the most I never understood because they were always bad. And obviously, we had the game where they beat us in the championship, whatever. But they just don't live in real life. And now that they're good again, they're chirping a lot, which is kind of interesting. But then it's Clemson the other side, so I can't root for either of them. But it's kind of the weird thing is if Tennessee wins, we're going to be ranked higher in Clemson at the end of the season, which would be great. So I don't even know what to do. Can I vote that both teams just fall down and begin the game high? They all just, I don't know. They all went out and had the same women last night, and they all got the same thing, and they're sick. I don't know. Whatever it is, I just don't want them to win. But I can't root for any of them, but it is an interesting game now, which, like you said, if Florida State lost, I wouldn't care. I probably wouldn't have it on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm cheering for some of these games, right? In that one, I don't think it matters because I think whoever loses, Florida State will finish ahead of. And then same thing with Alabama, Kansas State, right? I don't know if we could jump Alabama, but Alabama will probably beat Kansas State. And so they're 9, we'll jump ahead of them, right? And then you got a couple other games, Tulane, USC. Maybe if Tulane can get an upset there, we jump ahead of them. Penn State, Utah, 8 versus 11. Whoever loses that one, we're going to jump ahead of. So, yeah, I think that Florida State has a really, really good – I mean, that's 4 games right there. And really the only one that you can't have is you can't have Alabama losing because I don't think we'll jump them. Maybe we would, but I think you got a really good chance to finish top 10. I'll be annoyed if we finish 11. Not that it really matters. I mean, if there's anything that, if there's anything that matters less than preseason rankings, it's final rankings.
Right.
Because it's just whatever. It means absolutely nothing. But it would be cool to finish top 10. I mean, Bowden had all those years of 14 in a row of
top 5.
Finishing top 5, so it'd be cool to get back into the top 10 and be able to pound our chest with that. And
but do you think though it matters a little bit with recruiting, TJ? Just to say, hey, we're a top 10 team. You think it matters for the 2024 kids at the end of the season?
I think you won 10 games. And so you spin that. Hey, we won 10 games. We put 40 points on both our rivals. We beat Oklahoma. We beat LSU. We're this close to beating Clemson. I think it's just you have things to sell, right? And so if you're 11, I don't think nobody's negative recruiting you saying, oh, they only finished 11th. It's whatever. We're going to be top 10 to start the year. Yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, I think last night was a ton of fun, man. I mean, and they fought back. To me, that's the most impressive thing. Yeah, I think I tweeted this. Let me see if I can find the tweet. It was a little. Hey, so I put a little of the brown stuff into my beer can. I drank the beer and then I put some of the brown stuff. So I wasn't walking up with a liquor drink. So I forgot that walking into the stadium. I forgot that's what was in it, bro. And I thought it was beer, and I took it was rough. So, through 3 quarters, Florida State's defense gave up 5.66 points a quarter, right? We'd only given up 17 points to that point.
Right.
but the offense had only scored 6 points a quarter.
Right.
So I thought the defense could have been better, and they certainly had their challenges in the fourth. And you'd like them to maybe get one more stop there in the fourth quarter. But all that said, I mean, the offense was kind of what was concerning to me. They had 18 points through 3 quarters, and that just, wasn't really acceptable. And the defense was pretty bad in the fourth quarter, giving up 2 touchdowns. But outside of the fourth quarter, I didn't really think the defense was terrible. I mean, they played bend, don't break. I mean, that's just kind of what our defense is going to be. And then with the injuries and stuff, that's why you have an offense like you have, right? Like to be able to pick you up when you do give up a couple of touchdowns there in the fourth. So shout out to Fitzgerald. It's a really cool moment that he gets to be kind of the hero. I know Jared versus the hero, Johnny Wilson's the hero, Jordan Travis, but Fitzgerald won us our 10th game. And for as much as he got crap through the beginning of the year, and probably deservedly so, a cool moment for him for sure. So I was happy for that kid.
For sure. The other aspect was, sorry, I had a snack to my kid so he doesn't, grab the computer and run. But
I know
that goes to you. The other thing that was interesting was watching Javonte Barnes, because as you know, he's from Vegas. Actually, he was a pretty big deal out here. There's actually watching these bowl games, realize how much talent comes out of this town that doesn't stay in town. It's always been the case though. But and obviously we were pretty high in his recruiting board as well until they chose Oklahoma. We were all kind of scratching our heads with that running back room they had being pretty full, but he still went there. And look, he's on the field as a freshman. So that was kind of interesting to see. The other aspect is, you mentioned before with the guys in the portal. We all know about the cornerback. We'd really like to pick up Cypress, and hopefully that'll be coming next couple of weeks. But what other parts do you think we have room to take?
I don't think they're done at offensive line.
Okay.
I think that there are some interesting names out there, and I think they could at any time pull the plug or pull the trigger on that kid from Miami.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be here. I just think that Florida State, if they can, would like to maybe even get an upgrade from there. Right. I think that offensive line, they're not necessarily done. I could see safety being a position. It seemed like J. Rob's post kind of was saying that was his last game. I mean, obviously it could be last one for the season. I wouldn't say he's 100% gone, but I feel like he moves on. I think there's some questions around if Hakeem Dent comes back or not and what his future looks like. So if you were to lose both those guys in the secondary or in the safety room, you've got some guys coming in. Wouldn't be super shocked if you saw a cornerback. I won't say any names right now, but maybe as we get a little further in the offseason, just kind of enjoy the win. Wouldn't be super shocked if you saw a cornerback kind of move back to safety. Again, without saying any names, he played safety a lot in the Florida game. So just go back and rewatch that when Hakeem didn't play. Yeah. So, but I think secondary is a play. So secondary and offensive line, right? I think you want to continue to beef up the depth in that offensive line. Your secondary was probably your weakest unit last year. And so you want to continue that. I think if Verse leaves, you probably need to go after one of those edge rushers, whether it's the guy from Wake Forest or the guy from South Carolina. And I think I don't know if you land like a truly elite pass rusher edge if Verse is here, because those guys like to kind of be featured as the guy. Right. But if he's gone, I think you have a good chance at maybe going out and making some noise there. So those would be the 3 positions, right? Offensive line, secondary, and edge rusher, pending what Jared does.
Did you notice that Peyton didn't get that much playing time last night? It didn't seem like, at least didn't seem like he was on the field as much. I know that McClendon had a lot of playing time, but it just didn't seem like he was really on the field that much.
So again, being there, I haven't rewatched it yet. I rewatched the highlights. I don't know if there is if Brendan's done his snap tracker or not of how many true snaps he's taken or whatever. But I don't know. I don't have a great answer there. Just because
whatever we do,
it's hard to see.
I think we're all just waiting for Alabama and Georgia to play for all those transfers that are coming, as we heard.
There's about 20 of them. About 20 of them.
Just ready to cross over. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. It'll be interesting. I mean, I totally agree on the positions. The safety thing is interesting because even if Dent comes back, it just seems like it's really hard to keep him on the field. Like, how many games this season did he come off? How many games did he miss? So we definitely need additional depth there to kind of help with that position. We got the freshman kid coming in, but he's a freshman, right? So, you're not going to expect that much right away. It's a tough position to really come in and make, unless you're a Derwin James, which is obviously generational. So I definitely think we can use some help there. The corners, look how many rotated in and out and just injured. And then Greedy Vance didn't even play last night. He dressed out, but didn't even see him get on the field at all as well. So, definitely could use some more depth there as well. I don't know, man. I just like I woke up this morning and I was just like, yeah, we got 10 wins. That was great. I was, texting some of my friends, just talking a little shit, and then I was just like sitting there drinking my coffee, and I was just like, well, what now? Like it's in that regards, so it's just a long wait, man. But the last things I want to make sure I give everybody else time. Big ups to Jamie Robinson, man. When he transferred in, I didn't know much about him. I didn't have high hopes. I mean, you talk about effort. I mean, he basically played, he never came out, played, every single game, even when he was injured for 5 minutes. Like I said, he knew he was coming back in the game. I mean, he made 13, 12, 14 tackles last night, fumble recovery. So that's his last game on tape. That's a hell of a last game. I know they say he's like an undersized safety, but we've seen undersized safeties do well in the league before. So big ups to that kid. Like I said, didn't know anything about him, and he's just, basically ingratiated himself to all the fans and the whole fan base. So, whatever he does, that's amazing and a great career. I mean, I don't know where he ranks, just because we're Florida State with all the people we've had in the DB. But I mean, as far as effort and what he's done, has just been immeasurable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I wonder, like, where is he in like safety ranks? I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say he's somewhere between 5 and 10. And I know we've had a lot of greats, but yeah, I mean, just talk about like his last stat line. 13 tackles, 1 sack. 1 pass defended, a fumble recovery, and he was always in there mixing it up. That, that doesn't even include like the QB hurries and just the way he like throws guys down and, like the kind of the statement you can kind of make from that. So yeah, no, I mean, he was very special like all year. And so, and he missed time, he missed time in the game last night and still led in tackles going out with an injury.
Well, that 4th down that they stopped across the middle, I mean, that was him.
Absolutely. Broke the pass up.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was huge. And then same for Jared Verse, right? Like, I know that if that was his last game, to have 6 tackles as a guy that's not out there on every play, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack and a half, they gave him a sack and a half because him and Tatum both got one. But yeah, I mean, those guys were,
the sack was great, especially at the end, because if you heard his interview where the guy was saying like, you're not going to make the league and all that, and just blew the guy up. But also the play where he had free reign on him. But when he took out that running back on that was, I think it was 3rd down, and just went straight up from that angle and just took him out, just blew him up. It wasn't the Jadeveon Clowney play, not saying that, but it was that open. He just took advantage and just rocked that kid.
It was insane. Yeah, it was. I wish the quarterback would have held on to it there, so he could have got both. Sacked. Yeah.
Or he just tackled both at the same time. That would be just took them both.
That play was incredible. In fact, like if he's like, and I'm not on him or anything, but like if he's half a second earlier, it's probably a fumble. Like, it's because he's there as the ball's being handed off. So, yeah, really impressive.
You
just don't see
I heard
that.
What you said. No, it's fine.
Yeah, man, he's got to come back and work on that burst a little bit.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, he is only a redshirt sophomore, right? So, I mean, he changed his whole body coming in from Albany in the offseason. He's still got time to grow a little bit. So, I mean, but in the same sense, though, if you get a chance to get that money, I'm never going to disparage you for doing that. Go get that check as well. So, we got some other guys coming in that I think can, not going to fill those shoes. But, hey, we thought Noah was going to fill Jermaine's shoes last year. And not saying he did fill them completely, but it was pretty damn close, So, can't ask for more than that.
I think when Jermaine left, we thought there was no chance that there would be another Jermaine. And I'm not saying Jared was another Jermaine. They were different players. But if you'd have told us at the beginning of the year that what we got from Jared versus what we were going to get, we'd be like, oh, okay, well, great. Yeah, like we'll take that, we'll take that without a doubt. So good stuff, my man.
Appreciate you, man.
Hope you have a happy new year. Appreciate you coming on and hanging out. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
Yeah, can't wait till next time, man. And let's tell our lies for the next 8-9 months, man. So until then, have a great one. We'll see you next time.
It's coming, man. Thanks, buddy.
Happy
New Year. Appreciate Joshua coming on. Got some questions here on going for it on 4th down. I got a take here, and then I'm going to get my guy Deuce on. Deuce the Goodson. Deuce was a regular calling it on Spaces, so excited to get him on here in just a minute. Hung out with Deuce a little bit yesterday. So going for it on 4th down. Okay, so I don't hate either decision to go for it on 4th down. Just we may argue about that. We may not agree there. But Florida State was moving the ball well to start the game. I mean, they had a 70-yard drive, stalled at the 5-yard line, right? Didn't get it in, so you kick the field goal. Oklahoma goes down and scores right away on a 75-yard drive, and you've got 4th and 1 on the 44-yard line. And, I mean, I like Florida State's offense to go get 1 yard. Now, I know that the old school mentality is a punt, but I think going for it there is is winning football. You're playing to win the game. You're playing for a chance to, if you convert that, you're trying to go back up 10-7, right? You're trying to take the lead back from Oklahoma. Shout out the defense because they did pick the offense up, force a 3 and out. Jared Verse gets a sack there on 2nd and 12 to make it 3rd and 19. And the Noles get out of that kind of rough situation. It did flip field position a little bit, but I like going for it there. And then on the other one, again, I know this one's 4th and 9. I don't love the call to run Ward there on 3rd and 9. I think you maybe try and pass there to try and pick up 6-7 yards or give Jordan an option to run so that it's like 4th and 3. But from the 43-yard line, I mean, you're not making a 60-yard field goal. And if you punt it and it lands in the end zone, it's a net 20 yards. So I didn't really have a big problem with either 4th down. And I do think, as much as we like to crap on the defense and crap on Fuller and everything else, the defense really did pick you up after both of those. Oklahoma got a couple of first downs, but then missed a field goal after a holding call, backed them up a ton. And so the defense picked you up after both of those. In fact, I thought the defense was decent. I mean, I didn't think they were terrible. Oklahoma's scoring drives, fourth quarter was something that wasn't great, but Oklahoma had a 49-yard scoring drive, so they got the ball in plus side of the field. I don't know. It's tough to be too upset with that. And then, scoring on their last couple of possessions was frustrating. They did whatever they wanted in the fourth quarter, and thank God we got that fumble is all I have to say. So anyway, because they converted the first down there. They had run way past on 3rd and 2. But I didn't have a huge problem with the 4th down stuff. We can disagree there. That's fine. We don't have to agree on it. But I didn't have a huge problem with it. Let's give a shout out to Gramco, thegramco.com. If you haven't tried their Delta 8 products or their sister company, Satividol, Satividol, they've got really, really good CBD stuff. I think the products, we talk about the gummies and stuff, and we love that, but their CBD stuff is phenomenal. I've been running a little bit more while I signed me up for this half marathon. Not looking forward to that, but I will tell you the CBD rub-on, CBD roll-on and the gel capsules have been fantastic. So you can use TJ25 on that website as well, or at thegramco.com for your gummies. Heard there was some trouble with some gummies in Orlando last night, so shout out to people that hashtag know your dose. Those gummies will get you, so be careful with that stuff. But shout out Gramco, appreciate their support. All right, my guy Deuce. Deuce, how's it going, my man?
Pretty good. It's a 10-win Friday feeling.
I love it.
Yes.
How did you party last night or did you just go home after the game?
Nah, I got some friends and family in Orlando, so after the game, met up with a few of my friends. Had some drinks, some tacos. Nothing too crazy. I got back into Tampa area pretty late, but it was chill night. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. What did you think about the game, man? Were you nervous a little bit?
I think just like most people, it was a little. Well, obviously we know how close it was, right? And nobody was expecting that. I mean, even the Oklahoma fans that I was sitting next to, they were surprised the whole game. They kept saying, "Oh man, who is this team? Where have they been all season?" I know Oklahoma went 6-6. I don't know their story. Like if they had a whole bunch of injuries. I know during the offseason they lost a lot of players to USC and Lincoln and whatnot. But even Oklahoma fans were surprised at how their team was playing. And I think I would argue that it may have caught even some of the Florida State players off guard as well, because we heard the story about Oklahoma missing a lot of their key players. I think they started like 2 to 3 backups on their offensive line. So I think a lot of us expected Florida State to win comfortably. I'm glad we won, obviously, but it was an entertaining game for sure, obviously, right?
Yeah, I wasn't so shocked that they're, like if you'd have told me before the game that Oklahoma was going to score about 30 points, I don't think I would have been shocked. I think I had it at like 41-24, something like that. I don't know exactly. But I think it was somewhere kind of in that realm. So, I mean, they scored a touchdown more than I kind of thought. But if you'd have told me that our offense was only going to have 18 points through 3 quarters, I think I would have been like, nah, we'll have more than that. So I think if the offense plays in the first 3 quarters like it did in the fourth.
Right. Did I lose you on sound? I think I did, yeah.
Yo, can you hear me now? Yeah.
You're live. You're live. Gotcha.
But yeah, so I don't know where it cut out. But if the offense plays in the first half like they did in the fourth quarter and they score 17 points, you know, in each quarter, it's 34 to whatever Oklahoma had 17 at halftime.
Right.
The game's over then, right? Because then if you score anything in the second half, I mean, they're not. So, I mean, that to me, the defense played like the defenses played. They played bend, don't break. I saw somebody talk about average 6 yards of play. I mean, yeah, that's just how Florida State's defense is going to play. They're going to play bend, don't break. They're going to give up the underneath stuff. They're going to not get beat deep and sell out and not sell out on the run. And so that is the way that Florida State's defense plays. They play situational football. And you can like that or not like that. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying whatever. Like dude, my mic is sucking today. I'll just go off mic.
You're back.
But yeah, like that's just the way they play. And so, yeah, I think if the offense would have just been a little bit more put together, I mean, we would have been up by 3 scores at the half and probably.
I think what people also have to realize is obviously it's a bowl game. We last played 3.5 weeks ago. Teams have time to scheme and to develop a playbook around this specific bowl game. They don't have to look towards the next week. So while we may have expected it to be a blowout or maybe we were disappointed in some key areas, I mean, you got to give Oklahoma kudos. They were surprising. I don't think a lot of people expected that. They were definitely surprising.
I think the other thing that people don't. Okay, so talking about Oklahoma, you asked about them. They went 6-6, but they lost 3 one-score games. I think they lost 2 games by like 3 points. So like they were, and I know that you got to win close games, but they lost to West Virginia by 3. They lost to Baylor by 3. And then they lost to Kansas State by a touchdown. So yeah, they were very close to being more competitive, right? Like being an 8-4 team, or I mean, there are a couple of in fact, I think there was some like late game missed clock management, you know, like kind of some Venables new stuff. Like they had a 10-point lead and blew it against West Virginia. Like West Virginia scored 10 in the fourth quarter.
And he also burned through timeouts like it was diapers, where he could use those timeouts. He needed those timeouts at the end of the game, and he ran through those timeouts like crazy. Florida, I think we still had 3 timeouts at the end of each half. Like,
yeah.
We didn't use any.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think that their team talent level, and then people talk about the guys that they had out. Well, think about the guys we had out. Fabian Lovett didn't play. J-Rob missed a little time. Secondary was pretty banged up. Robert Scott went down. Jazz went down late. Like, we had some guys not playing too. So, I mean, some of that stuff balances out, evens out. And Oklahoma, like I said, you are what your record is. But
also, you have to add in the fact that Dylan Gabriel, he's not, to my knowledge, he's not from Florida, but it was also like a pseudo homecoming for him. He played how long was he at UCF? Like 2-3 years. So that, those go into the motivation factor. I'm pretty sure he had a nice contingent of supporters and fans there. So he played pretty damn good, and he was mobile as hell. So you add in that factor that you've got a quarterback that's practically playing back at home, so he's juiced,
Yeah, and we've struggled with running mobile quarterbacks. I mean, that's just always been a thing, for years, really. I mean, not even, so I don't know. But to me, again, what's most impressive is you were down big, down 2 scores. I won't say big, but you were down 2 scores and you found a way to come back and win. Like, to me, that's really, really impressive.
On the whole 4th down plays and situations, that I agree with you. I wasn't mad at it, but I was also surprised because Norvell hadn't been that ballsy all season. I mean, granted, it's a bowl game, leave it all out on the table, but the dude went for 4th down twice in the first quarter. And then how many 2-point conversions did we go for all year? Maybe a handful, but not many. Granted, we got it, so it counted. I know it put us within 3 points. It made sense. But I believe all of that was within the first quarter or second. So it was a little surprising to see him be that ballsy when that hasn't been the MO all year.
Yeah.
Not that I disagree with it, but it was surprising to see it, especially all within the first quarter of the game.
It was definitely different. And I wonder if it's because he noticed the offense wasn't really moving well. The offense wasn't doing a lot. So he's like, I got to try and steal some points here, steal some possessions. Or if it was just like, hey, this is a bowl game. We're going to go out and have fun.
Right,
I don't know. Could have been any kind of mix of that, right? So, but they fought back. They found a way to win. Again, they've been down 2 scores 3 times this year, and they've only been able to come back once, and that was yesterday, right? They were down 2 scores against Wake and Clemson and couldn't find a way to come back. And so that was impressive.
I think it was within the first quarter or the second quarter. To me, I thought the game was really chippy at the beginning of the game. Like right at the beginning of the game, it was real chippy. There were no flags. And at one point, it looked like the refs pulled both teams together. Like they had a big huddle. And obviously, we don't know what was going on. But I feel like the refs were like, look, y'all being real chippy. Chill the hell out. We're going to start throwing flags. That was just a weird moment. I had never seen refs do that to pull both teams together for a quick huddle. And I feel maybe that's what it was, because it was chippy as hell, but no flags were being thrown at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it seemed like there was one time where their offensive lineman drove our guy like all the way up to the bleachers, and then like there was stuff happening after the play. Nothing that was like malicious, but like you said, like chippy, like, hey man, this is like we both want to win, but like let's calm down just a little bit.
It's still the first quarter, boys.
Right. Yeah, we got a long way to go if y'all are already fighting. So, but it seemed like it did calm everything down, and maybe it got better for us. And I'm sure there was frustration with, Oklahoma's frustrated that they're 6-6.
Right.
We're frustrated that we're not playing well to start a game that we really thought we should have won. I don't know. Maybe it's Oklahoma's kind of way of getting into, trying to get into Florida State's head. Maybe they were doing a good job of that early. But, again, kind of credit the team for coming back and being able to fight through that, because there were no big penalties, nothing like that. You got guys, that you could lose stuff, at times. And so nobody really lost it, thankfully.
I do want to play the would-have, could-have, should-have game just a little bit, because I think if all those drops that we had, they weren't drops within 10 yards, like it was a 5-yard pass and it was dropped. Those were massive plays, 30, 40 yards down the field, and they were drops, and some of them were even on 3rd down. If we didn't see the drops, they were like at least 5 big drops. I think the scoreboard would have been flipped. Those are drops in inopportune times that could have changed the game.
I think Johnny had the big one. I think Cam had a pretty big one that was just like him streaking down the field. I don't know if he scores there or not, but I do kind of think it was like inside of the 20-ish. I haven't watched it back yet. But yeah, I mean, talk about a bad time for those to kind of come back and plague you. But man, I said this. I looked at my buddy that I was sitting with and just kind of said, like, man, I bet Johnny makes up for that. Like, because it was early, and I was like, I bet he makes up for it. Because I kind of remember, like, and he was so big for FSU this year, like when you had to have a play. So it reminds me of Louisville, right? You had to have plays against Louisville with your quarterback, and he made so many of them.
Showed up.
I believe Johnny caught the 2-point conversion. The only other 2-point conversion I remember this year was against Wake Forest. There could have been more, so don't quote me on that. But the only other one I remember, we were down 15 to Wake Forest, and they went for 2 to cut it to 7. And Wake ends up kicking the field goal. We lose by 10. But I believe Johnny's the one that caught that 2-point conversion. If you miss that, you're down 9 in the game. Like you had to have that play to try and get back in it. He caught the big 3rd down against Florida when Florida scored to tie it up late in the 4th quarter with about 5 minutes to go. Florida State tried to run the ball twice, couldn't get anything out of it. They threw the sideline pass to Johnny. Very good coverage. He comes down with it. I think that was on I want to say it was like 3rd and 6, but it could have been 3rd and 6, 21-yard pass into Florida territory. So I think he's, and then yesterday made up for the drop and was everything FSU fans wanted coming into this year. 200 yards. That's ridiculous. Like, that is ridiculous.
It's
Oklahoma. I don't know.
I mean,
somebody's commenting like how they didn't double team him. I don't know, man. Like, that's
it's
wild.
kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, we're happy now, right? We had a successful season looking back on it. But if Johnny Wilson was not, if his hands were a little bit better all season, we might be losing him right now to the first round. So kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, hopefully next year he polishes that piece up a bit and we get a first rounder with our name on it. But the dude is a beast. Just a total beast. And I think next year between him, I think McLean is going to polish up next year. We got the 2 transfer tight ends next year. I mean, there's going to be bombs all over Tallahassee and wherever we go. That's going to be nasty,
bro. I was talking with yesterday some folks that are pretty close to the Morlock family, and like, that guy's going to be nasty. And I know that, like, the guy I was sitting with is kind of a homer because he's close to them, but the Morlock Bell additions plus what you got coming back is pretty ridiculous. I think
Douglas, the tight end, Marquiston Douglas, he had a nice game yesterday.
Yeah, he had some really nice plays.
He had a nice game. I think he showed up big like that in a few other games. I can't recall, but it was like 1 or 2 other games where he stood out. And I remember coaches, there were being reports that Marquise, I think, he's not a freshman. He may be a sophomore, or next year. I know he's a young guy, but even polishing him up, he's got a big future as well. So to have him in the wings behind Morlock and Bell that's coming in is the recruiting should take off next year. Just to see the production that's going to be on the field is going to be insane.
Yeah, and he could play a lot more. He's listed as a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah,
but he 2020 was his first year. He didn't come to, but 2020 doesn't count. 2021 he only appeared in 4 games, so I think that is technically like he could, like, you could count 2020 as a redshirt. So, like, really this was his first year that counted. Like, I think he could play 3 more years. All that said, so pretty crazy what that could be. And I will say this too. I don't know. I've heard some things. I don't know if Trayshawn comes back or not for a couple of different reasons. But if that was Trayshawn Ward's last game at Florida State, I got no angst against that kid if he goes. Like, if he can get a starting job somewhere else, and I know there are other schools that really want him to come and start with them. If he can get a starting job somewhere else and really go out and kill it, I hope he goes to Arizona State just to crush it with Kenny. But I'd love him back. But talk about a guy that came up big when your workhorse just wasn't having his game. Like, Benson just was not the Trey Benson that we've seen all year. Sometimes it's just not your night, And so shout out to Ward for getting out there and mixing it up. And really being, Jordan was obviously great. 400 passing yards is ridiculous. Then 50 more on the ground. But you really needed something on the ground from Ward and give it to you. So shout out to Trayshawn Ward, man. He was big. And there's some questions about, Malik McLean, whether or not he'll come back or not. I don't think either one of those guys are like decided or final or anything like that. But Malik McLean stepped up and made a couple of big catches as well. I think one on a 3rd down that you really, really needed. And so those guys,
well,
shout out
I want to touch on those 2 really quick. I think for one, losing Malik McLean would be, in my opinion, a bigger loss than losing Ward, because McLean, he's still young. I think we'll be kind of heavy in the receiver room next year. We'll have a couple of seniors that we'll be losing after next year. McLean is polishing. I could see him being a leader thereafter. So to me, to lose McLean will be bigger than to lose Ward, because the running back room is stacked. To kind of tie it in with recruiting, what's the running back that signed with Texas that was a big for Baxter? Mm-hmm. I never thought, we had a chance with him, obviously being Florida State being his childhood favorite, but the running back room is stacked, and that kid wants to play immediately. Whereas if we was to lose Ward, we still have Keziah Holmes, the transfer, who basically redshirted all year from Penn State. He's supposed to be a beast next year. Benson is coming back. You still got Toll Philly. Is CJ Campbell coming back, or did he transfer?
No, I mean, he hasn't announced any kind of transfer or anything, so he should be back.
So that room is loaded. So not to say that, I mean, we'd love to have Ward back, but if he left, I still think running back will be fine. I hope he does go get a nice NIL back, link up with Kenny possibly. That'll be good for him, but we'll still be fine. Whereas if McClain left, I think that hurts the depth of what the wide receiver, especially, I think other than this past year, that wide receiver room hasn't been producing very well anyway. So to keep that momentum, I think it would be a bigger loss if McClain left than Ward.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a couple of things. Like, Johnny, obviously, if he's, I don't think Johnny's made it like official, but I expect Johnny to be back. Johnny's your number one. You do get Winston right back. See what he looks like coming off that injury.
Yep.
If he's able to, kind of step in and kind of replace what you got from maybe a guy like Pokey or maybe a guy like Malik, like that could help. But we'll see what he looks like coming off that injury, right? Like you lose something with McClain if he leaves. You may gain something with Winston Wright, but again, what's he look like coming off the injury? Obviously, you'll have Pittman back. I think it'll be big to have Ja'Kai Douglas for a full season, and then you get the young guys too, right? Like, I mean, Hakeem, I think will come in and contribute pretty quickly. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I mean, the weapons on offense next year are going to be ridiculous. I'd like to keep all these guys too, but I also think you want to do what's best for these kids too.
And that's a problem. I think offense without a doubt should be clicking next year. My pause is going to be on defense just because of who we're losing. We're bringing in some good transfer, especially on the defensive line. I think it's just the back, that backfield on defense with who we could be losing. The production back there hasn't been stellar this year. Jamie Robinson's been a beast, but he hasn't been able to hold the fort back there for the whole backfield. So I hope we hit on that transfer from Virginia. I think he is a surefire starter, obviously much needed. I think partly of it is with coaching as well. I think offense will take off next year, but to me, even with the additions on the defensive line, the defense in the whole is still. Well, it's a wait and see. We'll see. Yeah. Who knows? We could pick up some other transfers in spring. We'll see. But to me, defense, it has been not break, has been solid. Do we need a top 3-5 championship level defense to be successful next year? No. But it would be nice to kind of, at least for the backfield, to return to what Florida State's known for,
Yeah, for sure. I'm in complete agreement. I think the offense will be really, really good next year, and I'm hoping the defense can take another step forward because I don't want that to cost us a game. I don't want to lose a game because the defense struggles. And I think that, again, the defense plays bend don't break, but if a team is able to go down and not make mistakes, if Oklahoma doesn't fumble that ball at our own 30, do we win the game? Maybe we still win. I mean, I don't think it was like, oh, it's over if that happens, but man, that was
situations would have been flipped. We could have been.
We'd have been the one chasing.
Left, that could have been us trying to score with 50-some seconds left.
So, you lose a game in possession. Now it all worked out. I mean, you had some bad plays too. We gave them the ball a couple of times on downs, and we missed a field goal and stuff. So, I mean, it all evens out. But, yeah, I think the defense is what needs to step out. And if you're right, like if we get that cornerback, if we get Cypress, we can pick up a safety. I know there's some guys from Syracuse and different ones that are out there that are kind of being monitored. We'll see. Again, dead period right now, so I don't really know if a lot happens, but I mean that stuff's all going to get cranked up in about a week again. So it's going to be a wild week until the spring semester gets going.
Really quick, one last thing before I get off here. I want to, if you have other people, I want to give them a chance just to stir the leaves just a little bit. I saw a post on Twitter, and it was, I believe, the wife or maybe significant other of Atkins posting something along the lines of leave a place better than what you left it. I don't know if that is more direct towards them, or I I think it was just one of the players said something like that too. It may have been Jamie Robinson. I'm hoping it was in relation to that and not some cryptic tweak with Atkins. Did you happen to see that by chance?
Yeah, I saw some people talking about that. I don't necessarily know that I really don't know if there's much to it. I don't know if I've talked with a couple of people. I don't, and not since that tweet or anything. I did see some players tweeting that as well. So, I think I saw Gainer tweet that as well. I spoke with some people before this game, and I really don't expect Atkins to go. Now, I think if he was to get like his dream job or something and get a really big head coaching job somewhere, like there's not really a lot you can do to prevent that. But I don't.
Not only that, but what openings right now? Well, not openings, but what new head coaching that's happened, like Nebraska, whoever. I don't think there's any OC position open that might be that could offer him better than what Florida State could, or I don't know if there's a head coaching position open right now that's big enough to reasons for him to leave anyways. But that tweet was just a little cryptic because if it was directed towards a player, just her tweet made it seem personal towards, the Atkins family.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything that's open right now.
Right.
Like I don't think there's like, oh, he might, he's taking this and they just haven't announced it yet. Like I think if something was to come open. So yeah, I don't think that was like a cryptic, like, we're about to get out of here kind of tweet or anything like that. I mean,
I had to stir the leaves a little bit. So
you're good, my man. Hey, I appreciate you hanging out yesterday. Man. I hope you had a good time at the game, my man.
Definitely. Tailgate was awesome. Definitely appreciate you. Happy we had a good season. Go Noles.
Go Noles, man. Appreciate all your help, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. My guy, Deuce. Let me give a shout out to Garnet and Gold, garnetandgold.com. If you're an FSU fan and you're shopping anywhere else, you need to stop that. You need to be shopping at Garnet and Gold for all of your FSU gear, merchandise, licensed apparel, everything you need FSU-wise. Garnet and Gold will get you taken care of, and they will get you hooked up. You can use code NOSLAW, NOSLAW, NOSLAW at Garnet and gold.com. NOSLAW at garnetandgold.com. That'll save you 15%. That's where you should be shopping for FSU gear. You get dope hats like this one. This is my favorite hat that I own. I have two of them. But make sure you go get some stuff from Garnet and Gold. Appreciate them and their support. All right, we'll hang out for like 10 more minutes. What questions you guys got? Let's do questions in the chat. If anybody wants to jump on, I put the link in the comments here. So you can actually click that and get after it. Hey, I just looked up the stats on this. 50% of the 175 people that are watching this are subscribed. So I mean, it's like half of you guys watching this are not subscribed right now. If you're on your phone, if you're on the app, click down on the chat and hit the subscribe button. Also, do me a favor and hit the like button if you are subscribed. But there are more people watching. Actually, it's 52% right now. 52% of you in here are not subscribed. So hit that button. You're here. Some of you, I see some rivals in here. I know you're hate watching because your team sucks. That's okay. Appreciate you guys, getting to listen to what a winning recap show sounds like because, you had to listen to loser crap for more often than winning, for the rivals. But thank you for hanging out. You losers are always welcome here. What was that? I don't want to say it. I'll say it. I love all of you that are in here, even the haters and losers, talking about the rivals. So what else you guys have? Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Make sure you're subscribed. We've got a lot of off-season content coming out. So I'm going to keep it moving, going to keep it fresh, try and do some new fun things. Got some interviews coming up. We'll certainly go through that. Yeah, thank you guys for laughing at that. I thought that was funny. So we're in Florida. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to harp on the defense, but if that's what you guys want to talk about, we certainly can. But T-Buck, I doubt that. I don't think that they're moving on from anybody on this staff. Now, if somebody on the staff was to leave for another job, I mean, maybe you could see that. But yeah, I don't think it's realistic that anybody is getting replaced this year as much as we think they might have. Jordan Travis should have had 600 yards with all those drop dimes. He was fantastic last night. And I know that that's not me breaking any kind of news or anything, but but he was truly special. He went 27 of 38. He probably had 4 or 5 drops, right? So you call that 31 of 36 because you'd have had less plays because some of them were down the field. So he was phenomenal. His accuracy is on another level. The way that he stands back there in the pocket and delivers balls on time. He had a couple of throws that were errant. It looked like there was some miscommunication stuff with how many days off Florida State had since their last game. I don't think that's super shocking. But man, when he needed to deliver a pass on a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 7 or whatever the situation was, he was really freaking good last night. And so shout out to Jordan Travis, man. The growth that he has shown from when he got to Florida State until now is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've never seen a player develop and grow like Jordan Travis has, right? Yes, Jameis was better, right? Like I'm the biggest Jameis fan there ever was. But Jameis didn't grow like this. You know what I'm saying? Like James, like from where Jordan started to where like this is remarkable. And I've never, who's the next best? That's maybe a good question. Who's the next best that like has grown like that? Like where you've seen guys just absolutely turn it up and turn it on like that. I've never seen it before. I don't even remember that. Like who's the best player you can think of that like was just like meh, couldn't beat out James Blackman for the starting job? And then transition into being like a Heisman candidate. I don't even remember much. All right. Like I know I'm a prisoner of the moment, but I'd love to know who you guys are thinking about. Yeah, I agree. We're missing out on high defensive talent, and you missed another one. Okay, so all things well. Let's talk about defense a little bit. I agree the defense has to be better. I think they're situationally good. I think they make plays at moments, and if they don't improve, it's going to cost us games next year. It cost us games this year. It's got to be better next year. It cost you the Clemson game. You needed to be better against Clemson, and you just weren't. Clemson let their foot off the gas the second half, let you get back in it. But the defense has got to be better. Or we're going to be talking about a 9-3, 10-2 type of year again next year instead of 11-1 or 12-0. That's what I have to say. The offense is going to be good enough to be 11-1, 12-0. I believe that with all my heart. The offense is going to be good enough to win 10 or 11 regular season games. I don't know if the defense is going to be good enough for that. And so can the offense overcome it? Well, they did it against Florida and they did against Oklahoma, but they couldn't against Wake. They couldn't against Clemson. NC State's kind of a weird one. I don't blame the defense for that. That was probably more on the offense. Special teams was bad, but the offense was able to overcome Louisville. But the defense has to get better. And you're right. We're missing on defensive talent. You missed, I don't know what more you could have done, but you missed on Falk. That's not good. I think they've done good in the portal. If they can pick up Cypress, that's a big pickup. They picked up Fisk. That's a big pickup. They picked up Jackson. That's a big pickup. You keep Verse, keep somebody else. Yeah, I think the defense has the potential to be better. I think the linebackers will be even better. They'll take another step forward next year. I like Nicholson coming in. I like the guys that are coming back. I like Lundy. I like Kalen. I like Tatum. But, yeah, they've got to be better. Or it's going to cost FSU. Next year could be a truly special season. But would it shock anybody if you go on the road against Pitt next year and your offense is a little bit off, and that's like a late November game, and your offense can only put up 24 points and your defense blows the game for you? Nobody's going to love that. But if that's the case, it's going to cost. What does that maybe cost you? Does that cost you a trip to Charlotte? If you're 10-1 at that point, or I'm sorry, if you got one loss at that point, that's your second loss. That cost you a trip to the playoff, maybe. I don't know. The offense is going to be good enough. The offense is definitely going to be good enough. The D has got to get better. So I agree with you. I don't disagree with that at all. EJ Manuel, I don't know that I think EJ was better coming in than Jordan was. Right? What was EJ Manuel as a recruit? EJ Manuel coming in was a 5-star, bro. He was the number 26 player nationally. EJ is not that guy. He definitely got better, but EJ was a 5-star coming in. Vince Young. What was Vince Young? Recruiting. I'm popping all around here. Vince Young was the number 1 overall player as a prospect. I don't know if I'm buying that one either, guys. Jordan came in as a 3-star and couldn't beat out James Blackman. I do think that the injuries on defense hurt, but even when Florida State's defense was healthy, I mean, you look at Florida, look at the Florida game. Florida lost to Vandy and then came out and put up 40 points in our house. It's not good. It's just got to be better. It's just got to be better. You get 5-star guys if you don't have the big money. Yeah, I mean, it's got to improve. The talent acquisition. If the coaching doesn't improve, the talent has to improve. One of the two has to get better. Hopefully both. But if the talent doesn't get better, then the coaching has to get better. If the coaching doesn't get better, the talent has to get better. Or it's just going to stay the same, right? So one of those two has to pick up. And I don't know that defensively we got that much better from a recruiting perspective. I think in the portal we did. But defensively, we picked up Blake Nicholson. You picked up Keith Sampson. Picked up Conrad Hussey. You picked up Lamont Green Jr. Okay, Hussey's a good replacement for Jamie Robinson in a couple of years. Those guys are similar. Lamont Green Jr. I think is going to be really, really good. But if he's probably a good replacement for Pat Payton in 2 years. I think Lamont comes in and makes a huge difference this year. Keith Sampson's a good replacement for Fabo or Robert Cooper. I mean, Blake Nicholson will probably come in and play pretty well for either of the linebackers that go. But I don't think any of those guys are like head and shoulders better than any of the guys they're replacing. I think Falk could have been that guy. Like you could have had 3 years of, or like 2.5 years of like Jared Verse type play with Falk. Maybe 2 years. Maybe it'd take him a full year to get there. So yeah, I mean, the talent's got to get better. I think all those guys will be really, really good. I just don't think we're upgrading like crazy. I think those guys are rated about 4 stars, like the guys they're replacing are. So getting Cypress would be massive. Yeah. Missed a start. Oh, development. Well, yeah, they did develop wise, but yeah, like Vince was crazy. Oh God. Yeah, y'all can argue about all these quarterbacks, but Jameis is still a GOAT. So that's just my take here. Yeah, I mean the depth on the offensive line. That's a great point. VJ. Talent won't get better without an influx of money. I think that. I think you're right about that. It's a completely different game now. It is. I mean, it always has been, but it's a business now for the kids too. And I think that they, I shout out to Battle's End because there is a lot going on there. What coaching changes would you make on defense? I don't know. I'm not gonna say. I will say this. I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not. So Robert, I'm not predicting a loss to Pitt. I'm just saying. Would it shock you if the defense goes out and lays an egg? Not really. Done it against other teams, and that's going to be a tough game on the road. If we lose, the defense is better. What coaches? Well, I guess I just said one. Yeah, I think you look at the positions that haven't been very good. Pretty clear there. What the positions that aren't great at FSU. And there's a big one on that defense that has continued to regress, and guys that are playing out of position, and guys that get beat deep, and guys that make mistakes and can't tackle, I don't know, guys that aren't being developed. We're not landing talent. I think that, pretty obvious where the staff and the roster needs to improve. What position groups are you guys most worried about next year? Well, I'm not worried about quarterback. I'm not worried about running back. I'm not worried about offensive line. I'm not worried about wide receiver. For the first time in forever, I'm not worried about tight ends. Maybe edge if Verse doesn't come back. I'm not really worried about linebackers. I think defensive tackle's pretty good with Fisk and Jackson and maybe Fabo back, but maybe not. Farmer will be there. That'll be good. What position groups are you worried about? Well, if we lose Dent and Robinson, I'm certainly worried about safety. Cornerback has some nice pieces. If you don't get Cypress, certainly worried about cornerbacks. I said at the beginning of the year that cornerback was the position I was most worried about this year. So, yeah, I think DB is a position group that needs to get better. Florida State, I hate the whole DBU argument because when you had Dion play for you, you are certainly DBU, right? Then you add in the most recent guys like Jalen. You had Dion and Buckley and, Crow and Jalen and Derwin and even the other, like the not like superstars like Joyner and Brooks and Smith and like it's DBU, but we're not very good at secondary. It's the worst position group on the team. It's got to get better. How's it going to get better? Either the coaching's got to improve or the talent's got to improve. Rhodes. There's no shortage of how good DBs have been here. So how does it get better? Coaching or talent? One or the other. Like, they're not just the guys on the roster. If they're a young guy, yes, they can grow into it. I think Thomas will be really, really good for the Noles. But they're not just all of a sudden going to be like, oh, this is how you play football. Like Coach Woodson and Coach Fuller aren't just all of a sudden going to come up with a new scheme. Let's just change everything and now we'll be successful on defense. No, you just need more talent or better coaching. And usually they play hand in hand. Usually good coaches are good recruiters. I'm not saying that Woodson's not, but I think it's got to improve. Either the talent's got to get better or they got to upgrade the coaching, because that's been FSU's weakest point. So anyway, so now y'all got me into saying it. This is where retention and the bat. Shane, my man, thank you for hanging out yesterday. The Battles in Collective needs to step up. They've done a good job with retention. It's got to continue, clearly. It's got to be about more than just retention at this point. And they are doing things. They are working. There's stuff going on behind the scenes. They're moving. Quarterback room. How do we look if Travis gets injured? All right. So can I say this? I don't really come on here a lot and say like, oh, I'm I nailed this, but my bold prediction this year was that Jordan Travis would start all 12 games, and he did. I know he went out against Louisville, but my man did start all 12 games. So shout out Jordan Travis for being available. I don't know. How do we look if Travis gets injured? Tate played well enough at Louisville. Most teams in the country that are, Leroy Butler. Sorry, I'm leaving guys out. I named a lot. Look at all the top 10 teams in the country, right? Just go down the list right now. And I know we make a big deal of like, oh, what happens if Jordan goes out? But look at all the top 10 teams in the country and then take away their starting quarterback. And how do they look? Look at the NFL. 32 teams. Take away their starting quarterback and how they look. Now, there are some exceptions. There are some teams that have a pretty good – but, if Jordan goes down, we're screwed. And so is every other team out there, right? Like DJU is going to transfer away. If that Klubnik kid goes down for Clemson, they're screwed. I will say, though, with the roster that's coming back, with the talent that's coming back, I think Tate could easily win you 7 or 8 games next year. I believe that. I believe that Tate or Duffy could win you 7 or 8. And Jordan's what puts you over the top to get to 9, 10, 11. But I think with the roster next year that's coming back, I think Tate could win you 7 or 8. So if Jordan was to miss 2 games, maybe Tate goes 50-50 there based on who you play. If you had like a tough stretch of like not Miami, but like Clemson at Pitt 2 weeks in a row, maybe Tate loses both those. But for all intent and purposes, nobody's backup is winning them. Like, there's no like, what if our starter goes down? What do we do? How good are we going to be? Well, the answer is the same for everybody in the country. Not good. No, not going to be good if he goes down. But same for everybody. Look what happened when Florida's starter went down. Look what happened. It is what it is. Look what happened when Miami's starter went down. I mean, they weren't good when he was in. So let's see what else we got. How does AJ Duffy and Tate Rodemaker QB look after J-Tribe graduates? So let's jump to 2024. In 2024, you will have had, I don't know if they're both here just for whatever reason. I think there's a good chance that Brock has developed. I think it might be like a Brock AJ battle at that point. It depends. It probably depends on who wins that spot. You'll have Luke coming in as well. He's a top 10 quarterback in that class. So I don't know. It's hard to predict 24. I'm not necessarily saying that Tate's better than Duffy. I think that if Jordan would have gotten hurt last night, Tate's more ready and he would have been the one to come in. That's my take. We'll see what spring looks like if Duffy's able to take a leap and take over. If Duffy takes over that second, I wouldn't be shocked by this. This is no inside info. Nobody's told me this, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if whoever loses out on the QB battle for the second QB transfers. I wouldn't be super shocked by that. I think guys want to play. If you lose to if AJ passes Tate, is Tate going to stay as a third stringer? No, I think he might try and go somewhere and play, or at least be the backup, right? Which I wouldn't blame him. If AJ can't pass him, and Brock's coming in too, and now AJ's been in for a year and a half and hasn't. Does AJ stick around? AJ's got two guys ahead of him and one guy behind him coming, and then you got a top 10 guy in Luke coming in. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not saying they definitely transfer. They may both be on the roster going forward, but I think it's something to think about. You know, there's going to be attrition at that position because we finally started recruiting it again. All right, guys, do me a favor again. Let me refresh the stats on this real quick. I just want to look at it before I tell you guys a stat and want to make sure I'm not lying to you. 50.1% of you guys are subscribed. 49.9% are not subscribed. So do me a favor right now. We're all celebrating a 10-win season. We've got almost 200 people in here. Let's double up. Everybody, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Even if you're a hater, rival fan, hit subscribe, hit thumbs up on the video. We got more coming. We'll do a show at some point this week, maybe Monday or something after the new year. So make sure that you're subscribed. Mike, you called it 9-3 and 10-3 with a bowl win. My guy, Mike got us. There it is. There it is. Mike did call it. So shout out my guy, Mike. Who takes that leadership role in the offensive line now that Gibbons is gone? Yes, he will absolutely be missed. Dylan Gibbons. All right, let's finish with this. LaRon, thank you, man, for being in the majority and being subscribed. Again, hit that subscribe button. If you're in here watching, you've been in here for an hour watching this live, then hit that subscribe. All right, this is a good way to finish. VJ, great question, and we'll finish with this. Who takes the leadership role in the offensive line now that Gibbons is gone? He will absolutely be missed. First of all, I just want to shout out Dylan Gibbons. He was great on the field, all ACC selection, really, really good for the Noles, but it was nothing compared to how good he was off the field. I mean, he was just truly a great person, great individual, great teammate, great leader, did so much to give back to people, so much for charity. So massive shout out to Dylan Gibbons. And you're right. He's going to be a very big loss for the Noles on the field. Who steps up for that leadership spot? I think you could see a new guy like Byers step into that role. I think you could see Maurice Smith, kind of the anchor there in the middle, step up into that role. I think you could see Robert Scott step up into that role. And you may have a few of those guys. You've got some guys who have really played for several years and could be your guys. I think Bless Harris, if he comes back, could be a big-time leader there. So, yeah, I don't know who the new Dylan Gibbons is going to be from a leadership perspective, but it could be any number of guys. And I like that it's a veteran-laden team. There's a really good chance that your offensive line next year has Robert Scott, Maurice Smith, Bless Harris on it, three guys that I think you're very happy with and you like how they've played and developed. Obviously, you lose Big Meech, you lose Jaston, and you lose Gibbons. Got some good guys coming in with Byers. I know there's some concern around Roddick right now, but you've also got Keandre Jones, and I don't think they're done at offensive line. So his leadership is going to be missed for sure. I think obviously Jordan's a pretty natural leader on the offensive side, but it'll be interesting to see who steps up and takes that leadership role on Alex Atkins' squad on that offensive line. Hey, you guys are amazing. We had well up over 150 the whole time, almost hit 200. Again, make sure you're subscribed. That's the only thing I ask for this holiday season. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful new year. Again, if you need some last minute gummy orders, I ordered some stuff like 2 days ago and it's already been delivered. thegramco.com. Use code TJ25. That's TJ25 to get 25% off at thegramco.com. Garnetandgold.com. You guys are ordering FSU gear anyway. When the bowl stuff comes in, I'm just telling you, don't order it from Fanatics. Order it from Garnet and Gold. You'll save money and you'll support local businesses, people that give back to both our boosters and our NIL. Don't buy that Cheez-It Bowl gear from Fanatics. I'm just telling you right now. Buy it from garnetandgold.com. Save a little money with code NOSLAW, NOSLAW. Hey, guys, appreciate you tuning in all year. We're not done. We're going to keep it going. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you're subscribed because we got a lot more stuff coming. But thank you guys a ton. You made this season awesome. We got a big tailgate coming up for Labor Day. We'll do something for the spring game as well. But big tailgate. We probably had 150 people out there yesterday. We'll probably go through 400 for Labor Day. It's going to be insane. I'm going to have to hire a whole team because I was running like a crazy man out there. But if you come out and hung out, appreciate you. Appreciate those that helped. My guy Shane, my guy Deuce. There were others that helped as well. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon. Go Noles.